My parents kicked me out because I looked too much like one race. I was 17 when my mom told me I needed to leave by the end of the week, not because I failed school or got in trouble, because I looked too much like my dad, which made no sense since they were still married and living together. My mom is black, my dad is white. I came out looking more like him. Light skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. My younger sister Kayla got mom's features. Dark skin, brown eyes, thick curly hair. Growing up, people always thought we had different dads. The conversation happened on a Tuesday after dinner. Mom said looking at me was becoming difficult, that my face reminded her of painful things she needed to move past. I asked what painful things, since dad was sitting right there, nodding along like this made perfect sense. Dad said sometimes families need space to heal. Kayla just stared at her plate. Nobody would explain what we were healing from. I called my Aunt Teresa crying and confused. She went silent for a long time. Then she said she'd call me back and hung up fast. That night I heard my parents arguing in their bedroom. Mom's voice got loud saying she couldn't do this anymore, that seeing my face made her sick. Dad kept saying they agreed to handle this differently, that kicking me out wasn't the plan. The next morning, 3 of my mom's cousins showed up unannounced. They sat in the living room talking in low voices with my parents while Kayla and I were told to stay upstairs. I crept halfway down and heard fragments. One cousin said something about truth catching up. Another asked if I knew anything yet. My mom said absolutely not, and it needed to stay that way. When they left, Mom came upstairs and started packing my stuff. She wouldn't look at me, just folded my clothes in silence with tears running down her face. I kept asking what I did wrong. She said I didn't do anything wrong, that this wasn't about me, but it clearly was about me. Dad drove me to stay with his parents across town. In the car, I asked him directly what was happening, why Mom suddenly couldn't stand looking at me, why our entire family was acting insane. He gripped the steering wheel tight and said some things are complicated, that adults make mistakes, that when I was older, certain situations would make more sense. I said I was 17, not stupid, and deserved real answers. He pulled into my grandparents' driveway and turned off the car. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. He said when people keep secrets to protect others, sometimes those secrets become impossible to maintain. That my face was forcing a truth into the open that nobody was ready to deal with. I asked what truth. He said I should talk to my grandmother, my dad's mom, not my mom's. Grandma Alice opened the door and immediately started crying when she saw my suitcase. She hugged me for a long time. When she finally pulled back, she looked at my dad with pure anger. She said, "You're really doing this," making her leave instead of just telling her the truth. Dad said they agreed as a family this was better. Grandma said there was nothing better about lies that destroy people. I spent that first night in their guest room trying to piece things together. My parents were still together, so it wasn't divorce. Mom's family knew something that made them come over urgently. Dad said my face was forcing out a secret. Grandma was furious about lies. The next day, I went through old family photo albums while Grandma was at the store, looking for clues. I found pictures of my parents' wedding, Mom pregnant with me, photos of me as a baby, but something caught my attention in one picture from the hospital. The timestamp said I was 2 days old. In it, my mom was holding me, and standing next to the bed was a white man I'd never seen before, not my dad. This man had blonde hair and blue eyes. He looked exactly like me. I was staring at that photo when Grandma came home and saw what I'd found. She dropped her grocery bags and said the words that changed everything. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. That's your biological father, Grandma Alice says, her voice barely above a whisper. The photo trembles in my hands. I stare at the stranger with my eyes, my hair, my face. The room feels like it's spinning. His name is Robert Miller, she continues, sitting heavily on the edge of the bed beside me. He was a co-worker of your mother's before she married your father. But, my voice cracks, Dad is my father. Grandma takes my hand, her grip surprisingly strong for someone her age. James has been your father in every way that matters since the day you were born. He knew from the beginning that you weren't biologically his, but he chose to raise you as his own. The truth crashes over me in waves. Each revelation makes it harder to breathe. It was a brief affair, Grandma explains, her eyes fixed on the photo. It happened right before your parents' wedding. Your mother chose to stay with your father and pretend you were his. Everyone's been lying to me my entire life. The betrayal burns in my chest. Your father, James, has loved you unconditionally from the moment he first held you. That's not a lie. Grandma's voice is firm. Robert never knew your mother was pregnant with his child. The secret was kept to protect the marriage. And to protect you. I stand up, needing to move, to do something with this energy coursing through me. So why now? Why kick me out after 17 years? Grandma sighs. As you grew, you started looking more and more like Robert. Your mother's guilt intensified. Your appearance became a daily reminder of her infidelity. The casual cruelty of it hits me. I'm being punished for a face I didn't choose. Your parents have been fighting about whether to tell you the truth for years. She continues. Your mother's family all knew. Some of them. They've judged James harshly for raising another man's child. Those cousins who came over. I remember their whispers, the tension. Grandma nods. They've been pressuring your mother to either confess everything or send you away. They think the resemblance is too obvious now, that people will start asking questions. I think about Kayla, my sister who looks nothing like me. How many times had strangers commented on our differences? How many times had my mother flinched at those innocent observations? And Dad, why didn't he ever tell me? He was afraid, Grandma says simply. Afraid you'd reject him if you knew he wasn't your biological father. Afraid you'd want to find Robert instead. So they decided throwing me out was easier than telling me the truth? The anger rises in my throat. That was your mother's decision, not James's. Grandma's face hardens. He went along with it because he spent 17 years going along with whatever your mother wanted regarding this secret. But kicking you out instead of facing the truth? It's cowardly, and I told him as much. I sink back onto the bed, staring at the photo. The man Robert is smiling at the camera, one hand resting on the edge of my hospital bassinet. He has no idea he's looking at his daughter. Does he know now? Robert? Grandma shakes her head. Not as far as I know. He left the company shortly after your mother returned from maternity leave. I think your mother made sure of that. My phone buzzes with a text from Kayla. Are you okay? Mom's crying in her room, and Dad's just sitting in in the car in the driveway. I don't know how to respond. How to tell my sister, my half-sister, that everything we thought we knew about our family is a lie. What am I supposed to do now? I ask Grandma, feeling more lost than I've ever felt. You stay here as long as you need to, she says firmly, and you decide what you want. If you want to meet Robert, I won't stop you. If you want to confront your parents, I'll stand beside you. This should have been your choice from the beginning. I look down at the photo again. The man who gave me his eyes, his hair, his smile without ever knowing it. The father who raised me knowing I wasn't his blood but loved me anyway. The mother who couldn't bear to look at me because I reminded her of a mistake. I want the truth, I say finally. All of it. No more secrets. Grandma nods, a sad smile on her face. Then that's what will get you. Starting with a call to your Aunt Teresa. She knows more than I do about what happened back then. As Grandma leaves to make the call, I sit alone with the photo, tracing the outline of Robert's face with my finger. I have his jawline, his eyebrows. For 17 years, I thought I looked like my dad because he was my father. Now I know I look like my father, but he was never my dad. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a text from Dad. I'm sorry. I should have fought harder to tell you the truth. Please don't hate me. I stare at the message for a long time, tears blurring the screen. I don't know what to feel anymore. Betrayal, anger, confusion, but underneath it all, there's something else, a strange sense of clarity. For the first time in my life, I'm seeing my family without the filter of their lies, and I don't recognize them at all. I don't even wait for Grandma to finish dialing Aunt Teresa's number. I grab my phone and call her myself, pacing back and forth in Grandma's spare bedroom while the phone rings. Jasmine, honey, are you okay? Aunt Teresa's voice is cautious, like she's been expecting this call. No, I'm not okay. I need the truth, all of it. My voice shakes despite my attempt to sound strong. Grandma Alice just showed me a picture of my biological father. There's a long pause, then a heavy sigh. I've been telling your mother for years that this would happen eventually, that secrets this big don't stay buried. Tell me about Robert, I demand. Tell me exactly what happened. Teresa clears her throat. It was during your mom's bachelorette weekend. We all went to Atlantic City. Your dad James was having his bachelor party the same weekend in Philadelphia. Robert worked with your mom in marketing. He wasn't supposed to be there, but he was in Atlantic City for a conference. So she cheated on Dad right before their wedding? The disgust in my voice is unmistakable. It was one night, Jasmine. One mistake that she's been punishing herself for ever since. Teresa's voice softens. Your mother loved James. She still does. But she made a choice that night that she couldn't take back. After I hang up with Teresa, I sit on the bed, phone in hand. Before I can talk myself out of it, I open Facebook and search for Robert Miller. There are hundreds, but when I add our city to the search, the list narrows. I scroll through faces until suddenly, I freeze. It's him, the same man from the hospital photo, just older. Same blue eyes, same jawline, my jawline. His profile says he lives in Westbrook, barely 30 minutes away from us. All this time, he's been so close. My phone buzzes with a call from Kayla. Jazz? Her voice is thick with tears. What's happening? Mom won't stop crying and Dad just drove off again. They're destroying our family and won't tell me why. Kayla, I struggle to find the words. It's complicated. Dad isn't my biological father. The silence on the other end is deafening. What? She finally whispers. That can't be true. It is. Mom had an affair right before they got married with a guy named Robert Miller. That's why I don't look like either of them. That's why I don't look like you. Is that why they made you leave? Her voice breaks. Because of something that happened before you were even born. Before I can answer, I hear Grandma's voice calling from downstairs. Jasmine, your father's here. I have to go. I'll call you back. I find Dad standing in Grandma's living room, looking like he hasn't slept in days. When he sees me, his face crumples. Jasmine, please, don't try to find him. I step back, anger flaring. How did you? Your grandmother called me, said you were asking about Robert. He runs a hand through his hair. Please, just give us some time to figure this out as a family. Figure what out? Why you're punishing me for something Mom did? I'm shouting now, years of confusion suddenly crystallizing into rage. Why am I the one who had to leave? Why am I being treated like I did something wrong? Dad sinks onto the couch, head in his hands. Your mother. She's not well, Jasmine. She hasn't been for a long time. Seeing you every day, watching you grow up looking exactly like him, it broke something in her. She convinced herself it was God's punishment for her sin. So instead of getting her help, you kicked me out? The betrayal stings fresh. I thought giving her some space might help, that maybe she could get better if. He trails off, unable to finish the terrible thought. If I wasn't there as a reminder, I finish for him. Nice, Dad. Really nice. I storm back upstairs, slam the bedroom door, and pull out my phone. Before I can second guess myself, I send Robert Miller a message on Facebook. My name is Jasmine Taylor. I recently found out you're my biological father. My mother is Vanessa Taylor, was Vanessa Johnson when you knew her. I'd like to meet you if you're willing. There's a coffee shop called Blackbird on Main Street. Tomorrow at 2? I hit send before I can change my mind. Within minutes, my phone pings with a response. Jasmine, I'm confused but willing to meet. I'll be at Blackbird tomorrow at 2. Robert. Grandma knocks softly before entering. When I show her the messages, her face falls. Oh, Jasmine, this will fracture your family permanently. Are you sure this is what you want? They already fractured it when they threw me out instead of telling me the truth. I say, my voice hard. I deserve to know where I come from. We hear the front door slam downstairs, followed by frantic footsteps. Mom appears in the doorway, mascara streaking down her face, hair wild. You contacted him? Her voice is shrill, panicked. Please tell me you didn't. How did you? I start. Your father called me. She steps toward me, hands trembling. Jasmine, please, cancel the meeting. You don't understand what this will do. I stand my ground. No, I'm going. You don't get to control this anymore. I'm your mother, she cries, grabbing my arm. I pull away. Then maybe you should have acted like it instead of punishing me for looking like him. You made this mess 17 years ago, Mom. Now you all get to live with the consequences. Mom collapses onto the bed, sobbing. Dad appears in the doorway, looking between us helplessly. Grandma stands beside me, her hand on my shoulder. In this moment, surrounded by the wreckage of my family's secrets, I feel strangely calm. Tomorrow, I'll meet the man whose DNA I carry, the man whose existence my mother tried to erase, the man whose face she couldn't bear to see in than mine, and nothing will ever be the same again. The coffee shop feels surreal, like I'm watching a movie of my own life. I arrived 20 minutes early and chose a table in the corner, away from the windows. Now I'm staring at the door, heart hammering against my ribs every time it opens. When Robert Miller walks in, I know immediately it's him. He scans the room, and when our eyes meet identical blue eyes, his face goes slack with shock. He approaches slowly, like he's afraid I'll disappear if he moves too quickly. Jasmine? His voice is deeper than I expected. I nod, unable to form words. He sits across from me, staring openly. He shakes his head. I'm sorry. It's just you look exactly like my sister did at your age. The resemblance is uncanny. I take a sip of my water, trying to steady myself. I have your eyes. And your hair. My hand unconsciously touches my blonde curls, the ones that never matched my mom's dark coils or made sense with my light brown skin. How did you find me? He asks, still looking dazed. I explain everything, the photo, being kicked out, what Grandma Alice and Aunt Teresa told me. His expression darkens as I speak, his hands tightening around his coffee cup. She was married? The betrayal in his voice is raw. Vanessa told me she was single. We met at a work conference, and she never mentioned a fiancé, let alone that she was getting married the following month. She lied to everyone, I say, surprising myself with a bitterness in my voice. She's been lying for 17 years. Robert runs a hand through his hair, the same gesture I make when I'm stressed. I had no idea. None. If I'd known she was pregnant with my child. His voice breaks. They had no right to keep you from me. Dad James he knew from the beginning, I tell him. He chose to raise me as his own. Robert's jaw tightens. That wasn't his choice to make. Not alone. I should have been told. I should have had the chance to be your father. Would you have wanted to be? The question slips out before I can stop it. Small and vulnerable. Yes. No hesitation. Absolutely. I always wanted children. I have a son now. He's 9. You have a half-brother. He pulls out his phone, shows me a picture of a smiling boy with the same blue eyes. His name is Ethan. The reality of this new family crashes over me. A brother. A biological father who wants me. A life that could have been completely different. I want you to know, Robert says, leaning forward, that my home is open to you. If you need a place to stay, if you want to get to know each other. The coffee shop door swings open, and my stomach drops. Mom and Dad walk in, scanning the room until they spot us. Mom's face contorts with something between rage and terror. Dad just looks defeated. Vanessa, Robert says, standing up. His voice is ice. You had no right, Mom hisses, approaching our table. No right to contact my daughter. Your daughter? Robert's voice rises. The daughter you never told me about? The one you've been hiding from me for 17 years? People are turning to stare. A barista looks nervously between us. Mom, Dad, what are you doing here? I demand, mortified and furious. Your grandmother called, Dad says quietly. She was worried. So you followed me? After kicking me out? The betrayal burns fresh. Robert's eyes narrow. You kicked her out because she looks like me? Mom's hands are shaking. You don't understand. You have no idea what this has done to my family. What you did to your family. Robert corrects her. You lied to me. You lied to your husband. You lied to our daughter for her entire life. She is not your daughter. Mom's voice breaks. Stop it. Dad steps between them. This isn't helping anyone. He turns to me, his eyes pleading. Jasmine, we made terrible mistakes. I know that. But please, come home. We can work through this together. Work through this? Robert scoffs. You've had 17 years to work through this. Instead, you hid my child from me and then abandoned her when the truth became inconvenient. Dad turns to face Robert. I have loved Jasmine every day of her life. I changed her diapers. I taught her to ride a bike. I held her when she cried. Where were you? Where you and your wife decided I should be completely unaware I had a daughter, Robert shouts. Mom collapses into a chair, tears streaming down her face. I was trying to save my marriage, she whispers. I made a mistake and I was trying to fix it. By lying to everyone? I ask, my voice breaking. By making me pay for your mistake? I never meant to hurt you, Mom says, reaching for my hand. I pull away. But you did hurt me. You all did. I look between the 3 adults. Mom couldn't stand to look at me because I reminded her of her guilt. Dad couldn't tell me the truth because he was afraid I'd reject him. And I turn to Robert. You're angry about what you missed, but you're already talking about moving me into your house like I'm some possession you can claim. Robert flinches. That's not what I meant. I don't care what any of you meant, I say, standing up. I'm tired of being manipulated by everyone's selfish choices. Robert's face hardens. I'm going to file for legal recognition. Parental alienation is a serious issue. And what they've done. More legal threats? Seriously? The voice comes from behind me. Kayla stands there, her eyes red from crying. Haven't you all done enough damage? Kayla, what are you doing here? Mom asks, startled. Grandma called me too. She said you were all about to make things even worse. Kayla moves to stand beside me. Our family deserves better than this. Better than lies and secrets and public scenes in coffee shops. She takes my hand. Come on, Jazz, let's go. I look between the 3 adults, my biological father, the man who raised me, and the mother who couldn't bear to see me. All of them claiming to want what's best for me. All of them thinking they know what that is. Figure out your own mess, I tell them. I'm done being caught in the middle of it. I walk out with Kayla, leaving behind the shattered remnants of all their carefully constructed lies. For the first time in days, I can breathe. I've been staying with Aunt Teresa for almost 2 weeks now. Her apartment is small but comfortable, with a spare bedroom that's become my sanctuary while I try to process everything that's happened. She doesn't hover or press me to talk, just leaves cups of tea outside my door and reminds me that dinner's ready with a gentle knock. Robert's lawyer called again. She tells me one evening, as we sit at her kitchen table, he's filing for legal recognition as your biological father. I push my pasta around my plate. Does that even matter at this point? I'm almost 18. It matters to him, Teresa says carefully, and it might matter to you someday too, for medical history, if nothing else. The practical reality of having a biological father I never knew existed still feels surreal. Robert texts me daily, never pushing, just checking in. Good morning, Jasmine. Hope you have a good day. I'm here if you need anything. I respond with short, polite messages, not ready for more, but not wanting to shut the door completely. Dad calls every night at exactly 8 p.m. Tonight, when my phone phone lights up with his name. I actually answer. Hey, I say, stepping onto Teresa's small balcony for privacy. Hey, sweetheart. His voice is hesitant, like he's surprised I picked up. How are you doing? I'm okay. Aunt Teresa's taking good care of me. I moved out, he says after a pause. Got an apartment near the hospital. Your mom and I. We need some space to figure things out. What about Kayla? My sister has been my lifeline through all this, texting constantly, sending me stupid memes to make me laugh when everything feels too heavy. She's splitting time between both places. She's angry at both of us, but she's handling it better than we deserve. He clears his throat. Your mom started therapy twice a week. She's trying. Jazz. I lean against the railing, watching the sunset paint Teresa's neighborhood in shades of orange and pink. Good for her. I'm sorry, Dad says, his voice cracking. I should have told you the truth years ago. I was so afraid of losing you that I ended up pushing you away instead. The irony isn't lost on me. Why did you stay? After finding out Mom was pregnant with someone else's baby? He's quiet for so long, I think we've lost connection. Because I loved her, he finally says. And the moment I saw you in that hospital, I loved you too. It didn't matter whose DNA you had. You were this perfect little person, and I wanted to be your dad more than I wanted anything else in my life. Tears sting my eyes. But you let her treat me differently. You saw what was happening, and you didn't stop it. I know, he whispers. I told myself I was keeping the peace, that confronting her would make things worse. But I was a coward, and you paid the price for it. After we hang up, I sit on the balcony until the stars come out, thinking about the 3 parents I now have, one who raised me, despite knowing I wasn't his, one who resented me for looking like her mistake, and one who never knew I existed until 2 weeks ago. Grandma Alice's house has become neutral territory for family meetings. She's set up her dining room like a United Nations conference, with name cards and everything. Today, all 3 parents are here, plus me, Kayla, Aunt Teresa, and Grandma herself as mediator. I've established some ground rules, Grandma announces, looking sternly at everyone. No shouting, no interrupting. Everyone gets a chance to speak. Robert sits awkwardly at one end of the table, dressed in a button-down shirt like he's at a job interview. Mom won't look directly at him, her hands fidgeting with her wedding ring. Dad looks exhausted but determined. I want to start, I say before anyone else can speak. I have some boundaries I need everyone to respect. 3 pairs of eyes focus on me with varying degrees of apprehension. First, I'm not choosing between any of you. I didn't ask for this situation, and I won't be guilted or pressured into picking sides. I take a deep breath. Second, I need space to process everything. That means no surprise visits, no ambushing me in public places, and no making decisions about my life without consulting me first. Robert nods. That's completely fair. Third, I continue. I'm applying to colleges as far away from here as possible. I need distance from all of this. Mom flinches but doesn't argue. She looks smaller somehow. The fire that drove her to kick me out now dimmed to embers. I'm working through a lot in therapy, she says quietly. I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm trying to understand why I did it. Your guilt became toxic, I tell her. It poisoned our relationship, and instead of getting help, you pushed me away. I know, she whispers, tears spilling down her cheeks. I convinced myself that your resemblance to Robert was God punishing me. Every time I looked at you, I saw my mistake, not my beautiful daughter. I'm so sorry, Jasmine. Robert clears his throat. I want you to know that I'm not trying to replace James as your father. He raised you, and that bond is sacred. But I'd like the chance to know you, at whatever pace feels comfortable for you. Dad reaches across the table, not quite touching my hand, but close. And I want you to know that nothing changes how I feel about you. You're my daughter in every way that matters. Kayla, who's been uncharacteristically quiet, finally speaks up. I just want my sister back. Our house doesn't feel like home without you. By the end of the meeting, we have a tentative plan. I'll stay with Aunt Teresa until graduation. I'll have dinner with Robert and his son Ethan once a week to get to know them gradually. I'll visit Mom and Dad separately at first, then together as family therapy progresses. It's messy and complicated, but it's honest, and after 17 years of lies, honesty feels like oxygen. The weeks pass in a blur of college applications, therapy sessions, and cautious rebuilding of relationships. Robert and I discover shared interests in true crime documentaries and spicy food. Dad helps me with scholarship essays like he always has. Mom and I have stilted conversations that sometimes end in tears but slowly improve. Kayla becomes my rock, the one constant in my shifting reality. She spends weekends at Aunt Teresa's, the 2 of us staying up late talking about everything and nothing. Do you think they'll get divorced? She asks one night, her voice small in the darkness. I don't know, I answer honestly, but whatever happens, we'll stick together. She reaches for my hand. Promise? Promise. Graduation day arrives with perfect June weather. I stand in my cap and gown, scanning the audience. They're all there. Mom and Dad, sitting a few seats apart, Robert with Ethan beside him, Grandma, Alice, and Aunt Teresa together, all of them watching as I cross the stage to accept my diploma. When the ceremony ends, I find them waiting in a loose circle, maintaining careful distance from each other. Kayla runs up first, throwing her arms around me. You did it! She exclaims, then whispers, they're all behaving. I made them promise. I laugh, the sound surprising me with its genuineness. For the first time in months, I feel something close to peace. We're proud of you, Robert says, offering an awkward side hug that I lean into. So proud, Dad echoes, his eyes shining with tears. Mom steps forward last, hesitant. I know I haven't earned the right to say this, but I'm proud of you too, Jasmine, and I'm trying to be someone worthy of being your mother again. I don't have perfect forgiveness to offer, not yet, but I have something else. Something that feels like the first green shoot after a forest fire. Thank you all for being here, I say, looking at each of them in turn. This isn't the family I thought I had, but it's the family I do have, and I'm choosing to move forward with truth instead of lies. As we walk toward the parking lot, Kayla links her arm through mine. Where to now graduate? I look up at the endless blue sky. Somewhere new, somewhere I can define myself instead of letting anyone else do it for me. The path ahead isn't clear or easy, but for the first time in my life, it's mine to choose, and that feels like the beginning of healing.